Zune HD is one of the year's coolest gadgets and one of the best alternatives to the iPod we've seen. But with so many people invested in their iTunes media collections, switching from an iPod to a Zune can seem like a daunting task. So here's a few tips to make things run smoothly. First, let's tackle your music collection. When you download and install the Zune software from Zune.net, the installer will automatically seek out all the music files stored on your PC's My Music folder. In the majority of cases, this is where your iTunes music collection is stored, so any compatible AAC and MP3 files should get sucked right in. Now, if you still have some protected AAC files you purchased through iTunes, you'll have to upgrade them to a DRM-free version in order for the Zune software to play them. To see what songs might be affected, launch the iTunes Store and click on the iTunes Plus link in the top right. If you have songs to upgrade, iTunes will list them here and give you a chance to buy the unrestricted versions. Of course, if you don't feel like giving Apple any more cash, you also have the painstaking option of burning songs to CD and then ripping them back into your computer using the Zune software. If your iTunes collection is stored somewhere other than your My Music folder, or even on an external drive, you can add the location to the Zune software by diving into the software settings, then select Collection. Click the Add Folder button next to Music and locate your music folder. The same trick also works for videos, pictures, and podcasts. Okay, so one of the big stumbling blocks for the iTunes to Zune switch is the playlist dilemma. iTunes doesn't make it easy to export them, and Zune doesn't go out of their way to rescue them. So the best solution I found is a light little free application you can download from code.msdn.microsoft.com/iTunes to Zune. You open it up, give it the location of your iTunes library file and your Zune music folder, and all your playlists should show up with an option to convert them to Zune. If you're big into the iTunes Smart Playlist feature, Zune has a similar feature called Auto Playlist where you can automatically generate dynamic playlists based around certain criteria. Then there's podcasts. There's a good chance that Zune already pulled in your podcast when it loaded the music from your iTunes folder, but don't take that to mean that you're subscribed. Look in the podcast section of your music library, and if your podcasts show up, take the extra step of selecting them and hitting the subscribe button. If your podcasts don't show up, or you want to subscribe to more podcasts, you can search for them in the podcast directory of the Zune Marketplace. Now for the bad news. Those movies, TV shows, and audiobooks you purchased through iTunes, those aren't coming with you. Blame Apple or Hollywood or the Writers Guild, but there's nothing you can do about it. Fortunately, this is usually the kind of content you'll use once and never revisit, but it still stings that you have to leave it behind. That said, if you've been getting your audiobooks through a service like Audible, you can load those onto the Zune HD by using Audible's own standalone software, which you can grab from audible.com. So there you go, some tips on making the switch from iPod to Zune. For CNET.com, I'm Donald Bell.
Hi, I'm Molly Wood, host of the CNET Mailbag Show. It's the show where we read all of your email, from the ridiculous to the sublime, and we especially like the hater mail. Really. See it in high def at cnet.com/mailbag.